The man with 700 wives and 300 mistresses. Welcome back to our channel, where we delve into fascinating stories from the pages of history. Today, we explore the intriguing tale of King Solomon, a figure renowned for his wisdom but also known for a perplexing aspect of his life, his many wives and concubines. In this video, we'll dive deep into the life of Solomon, examining the reasons behind his decision to marry 700 wives and keep 300 mistresses. Join us as we uncover the historical and cultural context, the political motivations, and the personal failings that led to this unconventional aspect of Solomon's reign. Get ready to embark on an intriguing journey as we unravel the question, why did Solomon have to marry 700 wives and keep 300 mistresses? Let's jump right in. Solomon, upon ascending the throne at a young age, had immense promise and opportunities ahead of him. However, his life ultimately became tinged with disappointment despite a promising and exciting start. Solomon's reign began on a high note when he was proclaimed as the heir to the throne by his father, King David. Born into a family that followed God's injunctions, Solomon's upbringing was influenced by their deep knowledge and understanding of the ways of the Lord. Growing up in a palace filled with conflict and war, Solomon faced challenges within his own family. He witnessed his older brothers, Ammon and Absalom, causing havoc, including Ammon's sinful act of forcing himself on his half-sister, Tamar. Absalom, in response to this sin, had Ammon murdered. During David's final days, Absalom even declared himself king, but Nathan the prophet's intervention and Bathsheba's swift actions ensured that Solomon's rightful claim to the throne was upheld. When Solomon assumed the throne, his father David delivered a heartfelt farewell speech, urging him to be strong, act like a man, and faithfully follow God's commands and laws. David emphasized that if Solomon and his descendants walked faithfully before the Lord, they would never lack a successor. Solomon heeded this guidance, as evidenced by his love for the Lord and his adherence to the steps of his father David. In a significant moment, God appeared to Solomon in a dream and offered to grant him any request. Solomon recognized the remarkable opportunity before him and prayed for discernment and wisdom to be a just and effective king. God was immensely pleased with Solomon's choice and not only granted him unparalleled wisdom but also bestowed upon him great wealth and honor. God promised Solomon a long and prosperous life if he walked in obedience and kept his commands. Solomon awakened, realizing that his experience was a revelation. Fueled by his father's vision, he embarked on the ambitious project of constructing a magnificent temple for the Lord. His prayer for the dedication of the temple marked a momentous beginning for his reign. Standing before the altar of the Lord, Solomon offered a magnificent prayer, acknowledging God's faithfulness and expressing his desire for a continuous line of successors on the throne of Israel as long as they walked faithfully before the Lord. Despite this promising start, Solomon later made grave mistakes by marrying many foreign women and engaging in relationships that led him away from wholehearted devotion to the Lord. He married 700 wives and had 300 mistresses, and although some of these unions were political alliances, immorality played a part as well. These relationships had disastrous consequences as they fostered a culture of immorality within the kingdom. Solomon's compromise of his faith and values in pursuit of personal desires and worldly alliances led to his downfall. He followed the practices of foreign gods, despite God's commands not to do so, which angered the Lord. As a consequence, the Lord informed Solomon that he would tear the kingdom away from him, although it would happen during the reign of Solomon's son for the sake of his father David. The Lord planned to leave a portion of the kingdom with Solomon's son and give one tribe to him for the sake of David and Jerusalem, the city of God's choosing. Solomon's story serves as a sobering reminder of the dangers of compromising one's faith and values. It highlights the importance of remaining true to the Lord, even in the face of personal desires and worldly temptations. Solomon's downfall demonstrates the significance of wholehearted devotion to God and the consequences of straying from His commands. To carry out His plan, the Lord raised up various adversaries against Solomon, including Hadad the Edomite, who was a descendant of the king of Edom. Additionally, Jeroboam, one of Solomon's officials, rebelled against the king. While the account of Solomon's life in 1 Kings ends with chapter 11, verses 41 to 43, further insights into the final chapter of his life can be found in another book in the Bible, specifically Ecclesiastes. Despite his prevailing sadness and the consequences of his actions, Solomon's legacy includes the authorship of 3 books in the Bible: Song of Solomon, Proverbs, and Ecclesiastes. These books likely reflect Solomon's reflections and realizations about life, wisdom, and the mistakes he made during his reign. Solomon reigned over all Israel for 40 years before joining his ancestors, and his son Rehoboam succeeded him as the king of Israel. In Ecclesiastes, Solomon candidly reflects on his pursuit of happiness and the various paths he explored. He discovered that a life without a relationship with God, the Creator, was ultimately futile, leading to emptiness and pointlessness. Solomon attempted to find fulfillment in wisdom but realized that these pursuits were like chasing after the wind, fruitless and meaningless. He also sought pleasure and laughter, filling his palace with festivities, but even these indulgences left him unsatisfied. The pursuit of pleasure without a connection to God does not bring true joy and fulfillment. Solomon also tried to pursue luxury and wealth for the sake of happiness. However, he discovered that material possessions and riches did not bring genuine happiness. He sought pleasure in wine and embraced folly, but these experiences failed to provide lasting satisfaction. Solomon engaged in great projects, built houses, planted vineyards, and created beautiful gardens. Yet, none of these material achievements could fill the void in his heart. Finally, Solomon experimented with lust and physical pleasure, but he found that such pursuits could not bring true happiness. Even a harem of 700 wives and 300 concubines was not enough to bring him genuine happiness. The book of Ecclesiastes serves as a reflective account of Solomon's attempts to find purpose and meaning in life through worldly pursuits. His conclusions point to the importance of seeking a relationship with God, as only in His presence can true joy and fulfillment be found. God never desires for anyone to sin, but He allows us to make our own choices. The account of Solomon's life serves as a powerful lesson, reminding us that disobedience does not lead to favorable outcomes. Merely starting well is insufficient. We must continually seek God's grace to finish well. It is crucial to understand that a life without God ultimately leads to a dead end. Despite Solomon's belief that having 1,000 wives and concubines would bring happiness, the pleasure he experienced was not worth the tremendous cost he paid. With greater wisdom, Solomon eventually realized that his life of indulgence was utterly meaningless. Ecclesiastes 12 verse 8. The book of Ecclesiastes concludes with a warning that God will hold every deed accountable in judgment. Verse 14. Thank you for watching. We hope you have gained insights into the Bible through this discussion. Please consider subscribing and clicking on the notification icon for future updates. Stay tuned for more episodes where we delve into critical issues found in the Bible.